everybody, it's your man James, Mr. Quincy Treasures, back again with yet more video action for you guys. I'm just on a tear recently, aren't I? But yes, I want to thank you all for joining me today. And as you all know, this is one of our favorite trips down memory lane. It's Why It's Great. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Why It's Great is where I take a comic from the past from my own personal collection, and I'll tell you why I think it's awesome and why you should want to check it out for yourself. And I'm looking forward to doing today's. It's going to be another fun one, as they usually are, but this one especially so. And so let's get right on into it. And again, I thank you all for joining me today. And just want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of this great content I'm putting out on the regular now. Also, if you like what you see here, please be sure to drop a like on the video so we can help those algorithms out, get some more attention to us here. And if you got any comments when we're all done, if you got any thoughts on the book or anything else, drop them down below. I like to hear what you guys got to say, because it's important to me to hear from the audience for whom I'm doing all this for. So make sure to do that. And if you have subscribed, please share out some links so we can get more people to come on in and join in the fun here, right? So with all that out of the way, let's get right on into it. Today we're heading back to 1987, and we're going to once again check in on the Superman reboot with John Byrne with Action Comics number 590. So this is going to be a good one. Let me get things geared up here for you. So first thing we'll do here is we'll take me off, because we don't need to look at my ugly mug, and then we'll get our book up here. And there we are, Action Comics number 590, featuring Superman and the Metal Men. Now, these guys are probably one of the more esoteric creations at DC. You know, they're basically humans who had their souls put in these little machines called respondometers that were then implanted into these robot bodies that are made of the very metals that they're named after: lead, steel, gold, platinum, tin, and mercury. And so they all have various kind of quirky personalities. And this is going to be an interesting one, because here you see we don't even really have Superman on the cover. Not really. Here's Chemo, the chemical creature. And we can see here there's getting ready to be some action. And I love that they took out and made sure to let us know that this is the 80s. If you were a kid in the 80s, robots joining together to make bigger robots was all the rage. You had Voltron, you had Mighty Orbots, you had some of the Transformers that could do this. So this is very much an 80s thing when you see robots mashing together to make bigger robots, and this is pretty sweet. I just love that they did that. And of course, by John Byrne and Dick Giordano. So let's get right on into it. Now here we go. Now I've always said you should always start off your book with some action. This one doesn't, but you'll find out why a little bit later, and why I think it's okay that this issue doesn't start out that way. But we start here, just in some kind of industrial plant, and they're looking over a giant chemical vat, and the guy's explaining to some people about what they do and why it's interesting. In this vat, we process materials from industrial accidents, chemical spills, that sort of thing. In this fashion, we were able to retrieve thousands of dollars worth of usable chemicals, and of course, the savings to the company is passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices for our products. So it's kind of like almost like a little economics lesson here, So, but you're probably wondering, well, where's our heroes and what's going on here? Well, you can see right here in the beginning, it's Lois and Clark who are investigating this. They're interviewing this guy, and they got Lois down almost like a social activist here, all of which makes up in some part for your rape of the environment you cause otherwise. Somehow I can't believe even the most mercenary of your customers would trade pine forests or clean beaches for a few extra pennies in their pocket. So there is the classic trope. Now you say, are they getting political here? Yeah, they are, but not really. I mean, this is just two sides of the same coin. You got the pro side who say, we should do these things because it helps lower costs, which is of course is good to people. But then again, you got the environmentalist types, and it's just it's just the way it is. But they don't really go into it very much, So the guy asked Clark what he thinks. He said basically he doesn't have too much sympathy for him either. He asked him, "Are you sure it's safe?" And he told me it is perfectly safe. And then that's when, this is where trouble begins. And Clark takes a header right on into the soup. So they go to get him out, and And the only thing, the only thing Clark can think is it happened so fast. There was no time to prevent myself falling without revealing to Lois that I'm Superman. You know, he goes, got to pretend to be affected by the sudden bath. So that way they think that this is not just that it's to give away a secret identity. And so they figure what happened. The railing just seemed to dissolve. He goes, never seen anything like it. You better. I love it here. Getting more little references to the time period here. Come on, Clark, we better get you washed off before you mutate into a turtle or something. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, nice little subtle reference to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right there. I like that. It's kind of fun. And then, as they're walking away, Superman's thinking about it. He goes, strange. I used my microscopic vision to check the components of the chemicals in that vat, just in case I needed to come up with a non-super excuse for surviving my dip. And I found nothing that should be harmful to me, especially with my invulnerable skin. Yet I'm tingling all over. What could possibly be in there? See, now, of course, is where we get our first inklings that things are not as we may think they are. And then we get what I think is the reason for why we didn't have action right up front. We get a little history lesson of the character of Chemo. And I'm going to try to read most of this because it's all kind of important. He goes, a question for which Clark Kent may never find a complete answer. And then he tells, weeks ago on a parallel Earth which no longer exists. So this is all pre-crisis. They're actually bringing the crisis storyline into this issue, so that this shows you that like those big events back then, unlike today where they do event after event or event and nothing seems to matter, here the big event actually mattered. And that's what this does right here. That's one of the things I like about the story is they show that big event had relevance, it had impact. And they say that how in the ruins of a burning city, a strange life form stares with unhuman satisfaction at an ocean of poison by its doing. It's called Chemo, and then he's fighting against the Doom Patrol. As great as Chemo might be, her power is greater. And then his living plastic shell destroyed. Chemo's seething liquid insides bubble away into the poison sea of that long lost Earth. And then it says how the menace of Chemo would have been gone for all time, but in the terrible crisis which beset all the infinite Earths, there came a great merging, where once there had been as many worlds as there might be minds to imagine them, now there remained but one. And thus the chemicals of Chemo shattered body found their way back to their home world, where the unsuspecting populace perceived them as yet another accent to be of the industrial age. They were collected. For many months, somehow defying separation, they languished in the great vat. And then, of course, we see Superman falls in, and some of his skin cells come off, and it says the cells sliced from Clark's body by his sudden dousing mingled with the chemicals. But those chemicals possessed of the ability to mimic the life process fulfilled their function and began to initiate the cell structure in Superman's alien tissue. So now we're seeing what's going on here is by falling into the vat of chemicals, Superman's, just the skin cells from his own body are going to kind of set up the whole problem. And what you saw here is this is what happened is the crisis allowed Chemo to survive, because he would have been destroyed on his other Earth that he was a part of had the merging of the worlds not come about from the Crisis on Infinite Earths saga. So that actually, I like how they work that in. So they work Chemo into things so you can explain why he's still here when he shouldn't be, and it all made sense. And again, it gave impact and gravitas to the actual event. So I like this little history lesson we got from this. Very good stuff. So then we head off, and we head to the Super Science Complex lab where we find Doc Magnus and the Metal Men. And here's Tin looking for Doc as he's coming out of a room that he doesn't want anyone to go into. Then Platinum shows up, and she's a very lovey-dovey towards him. And here it is, Pooh, I suppose you're going to start up again, insisting the way I feel about you is programming too. Yes, it is, Tina, and falsely programming at that. And then, oh, Will Magnus, sometimes you can be such a beast. So right here we can see already the conflicts that are going on within the team themselves. And so you get a little hint of this, and there's a little mystery. Like, even Tin gets on it. That's funny. Doc sure seemed eager to get us away from that door he was coming out of. what could be in there? So now we got a mystery on top of this. So, and then we come in and we see, the rest of the team doing what they do. Lead is working out, trying to strengthen himself using lead and gold. And of course, the misanthrope of the group, the biggest misanthrope of all, is Mercury off to the side, who's just trying to say was it? It's not going to do much good to keep in shape as long as Doc won't let us go outside because he won't let them leave. I swear I'm beginning to forget what it was like to be anywhere but in this place. And then Platinum comes rushing by in anger. They wonder what's going on. Tin tells him we were down sub-level 9, and he goes, every time Doc goes down, poking around down there, we suffer for it. So it's like, what do you think it means, Gold? Is Doc hiding something from us? Your guess is as good as mine, Lead. So like they're all wondering about what's going on, and then there's an explosion. And then, so they go to investigate, and well, here we are. Now there is Chemo as Superman, Super Chemo, I guess you could say, right there. I like that, and I like the way they use the Chemo design with Superman's outline, and I like the way they chose where to put the indications of the plastic shell for his body. I liked how they did that, and of course, the classic X shield right there. I like that, and you can see he's got Platinum. Oh my gosh, it's Superman. No, it isn't, Tin. Impossible is made to believe. That's Chemo. So now we got the action's about to start. So they figure it's going to be easy. We've beaten Chemo before. All we need to do is drill a hole into his plastic foot of his, and all the chemicals will come spilling out. And so Lead goes to try to poke him through, and all of a sudden, but it doesn't work. What? How is that possible? And then and then it's when they kind of figure out, looks like the big creep may have more than just Superman's shape going for him. Looks like some kind of chemical change happening. And then what's this? Is that heat vision? When did Chemo have heat vision? So Lead tries to protect them, and he suffers for it. And then Chemo takes off flying. Again, when did Chemo learn to fly? How did this happen? We're all going to figure out very soon here. So the Metal Men get together, and they take off in pursuit, because they're not going to let one of their own be taken by Chemo. And then, of course, finally, after many pages, we finally get some Superman in here, and he's just swinging it around. If my body didn't process 100% of the food I eat, I swear I'd be putting on weight from all this soft living. And then he sees his giant self go by with Platinum. He goes, a damsel in distress, a platinum-plated damsel in distress, in fact. And so he goes to her, he tells her to use her powers to try to stretch to reach him, and she says, I can't, Superman. When Chemo broke into the lab, he sprayed me with some kind of plastic film. I can't use my shape-changing abilities. Now, again, this is foreshadowing, folks. This is foreshadowing. So Superman comes in, he tries to, and even he's wondering, he goes, this is Chemo? Because when is he the biggest member of my fan club? So, he takes a quick shot, and it startles Chemo. He drops Platinum, but the Metal Men are there to save her. So, Superman, he's totally stymied at what's going on here. They could have flown down and caught her long before she hit the ground, but their timely arrival allows me to concentrate on what's happened to Chemo, specifically how the heck he got my powers. And I like this too. Normally, when you had Chemo, you never really have much in the way of expression. Here, with the Superman shape, you can see he has the expression on his face, which I thought was a nice touch that they added to all this. So you get to see what he's actually thinking and feeling, because you don't normally get that with Chemo. So then the Metal Men, get her out of the plastic film, and then they get joined together, and well, there you go. And even Superman, great Scott, the Metal Men have forged into a single giant robot as big as Chemo, but is it as powerful? And yes, I'd say it is. So there it is. It's a nice uppercut right there. But then Chemo once again uses the plastic film spray, and now they're stuck in this form. They can't change shape. Well, that's no problem. We don't need to. But we'll see shortly that that's not the case. So while all this is happening, Superman is just trying to figure things out. He goes, maybe that's part of the solution to this mess. Instead of trying to fight Chemo one-on-one, we should find some way to counter the duplicate powers he's developed. And since he does everything chemically, perhaps my microscopic vision will reveal something useful. So he goes in to look. He doesn't see anything right away, so he goes even deeper, and he goes, there, he's duplicated the DNA structure of my alien cells. He's become a chemical Kryptonian. So his little dip in those chemicals, that's what's caused all this. So really, and without even knowing it, Superman is responsible for everything that is happening. And so the middlemen, they're stuck in that form, and one of the members, Mercury, who is, again, as we said, the most biggest misanthrope of the group, he doesn't like this very much. And he goes, there must be a way out of this plastic goop. And he goes, of course, it can't be touching me where I'm in contact with iron. If I disconnect, I can spray myself out of the plastic coating. It worked, but of course, that leaves the rest of them in a jam. And Superman even notices this. The metal men each have such distinctive personalities, it's difficult for them to work as a team without Will Magnus in charge. Mercury didn't consider how his escape would sabotage the others. They'll be at the mercy of Chemo's duplicate superpowers unless, that's it. If Chemo's powers are exactly a duplicate of mine, there's a way to stop him. And so again, Superman jumps in just to get Chemo's attention, to distract him, and he tells him, quickly, we've got to find a way to cut him off from sunlight. And Tin comes in saying he can do that, and I can get out of this plastic, and the same way Mercury did, and envelop Chemo. And he goes, no, Tin, blocking radiation is what I do best from lead. And he goes, you'd never be able to spread yourself thin enough to cover all of Chemo lead. Leave this to me. And he does it, and you can see it starts to change him. It's working. Deprived of the solar rays that give me my powers, Chemo is reverting to his normal form. But be careful, he's still powerful without, and then boom, you see what happens. He just sort of flexes it up and breaks tin, because tin is a very soft and weak metal, as we all know. And then Chemo is regaining his shape because he's getting sun. So the others say, hey, don't worry, he had the right idea. He was just too close. So they decide they're going to spread out, and you can see they create a giant dome over him. We'll form a dome over Chemo, big enough to block the sun's rays and big enough to keep us out of Chemo's chemical spray range. And so now inside, stuck without the sun, Chemo reverts to normal. And that's what Superman says. He goes, unlike my own, his artificial Kryptonian cells don't act as solar batteries. It would take days of complete darkness for my powers to begin to fade. His duplicate powers pass out of him almost instantly. He goes, now's the time to do something. So he goes, I better do something to stop him before we find some way to blast a hole in the metal men's dome. And I think heat vision should do the trick. So what's he do? He heats up Chemo to boiling, and then so there she blows. Chemo's chemical components are jetting out of him as superheated steam. And so then he uses a super breath to blast it high in the atmosphere. There it should crystallize and remain harmless, floating at the edge of space. And without his molten insides, Chemo's empty plastic body has gone hard and brittle as glass. And then just, it's a pretty simple matter after that. So now the threat of Chemo is done. But Tin, poor little Tin, there's nothing lesbian but silvery droplets. But they're like, hey, don't worry, Superman. One of the advantages of being, a robot is that we're very hard to kill. And so he's like, you can rebuild him. He goes, sure. I mean, a few hours of hard work for us, but picking all the pieces. But once we've done that, we'll take him back to the lab, and Doc Magnus will refuse to have anything to do with it, and say, so there it is. It's he just turns his back on one of the members of the group and tells him, he left this compound against my orders, and now he's paid the price for his disobedience. It's high time you all stopped acting like irresponsible children and started acting like the intelligent, practical robots I intended you to be. Perhaps the destruction of Tin will smarten you all up. And he goes, and then he just, boom, he's done with him. And then it's like, curious, confused? The dark secrets of the sub-level 9 and the fate of the Metal Men will be revealed. Keep your eyes peeled for future Metal Men installments. So they leave us on sort of a mystery. What's the secret of level 9? Why is Doc Magnus being so harsh to the team? What's going on? What's going to be the fate of Tin? I like this issue. It had a lot of great fun in it. And as you saw, Superman using his head to win the battle. You see, it wasn't pure power. He didn't just come in and beat him up, and here it is right here. He used his brain to beat Chemo. First, to figure out how to prevent him from keeping the super abilities that he is, chemically creating of Superman's, and then to find a way to beat Chemo once that was done. And so I liked how Superman and the Metal Men used their heads to win, not just brute force. You know, again, this is the stuff they don't do anymore in the comics. They don't know how to do a great story where the heroes are using their intellect almost or more than they're using their fists. And I really like this story for that reason. Plus, you know, you had, again, I'll gotta back it up here to that great right here, these 2 pages with the recap of what happened on Crisis. Again, showing that these events actually did mean something at one time. These were big deals when they were done, and they wanted you to think it's a big deal. And this shows you just how big a deal Crisis in Infinite Earths what actually was, because even now it's still affecting what was coming out. And you know, again, it's just a very different than how they do them today, where like all the events don't seem to matter at all whatsoever. But here it's a lot of fun. And again, I just love some of this. I mean, even though there's not a lot of quote unquote action in Action Comics, it's definitely a good read, and it's very fun. And it's you know, using the Metal Men, you know, a very esoteric group that you don't know a lot about. People, you know, most people probably don't even know they exist. But yeah, they were used in a fun way here. And you know, like I said, it just seeing the interactions of the group, the threat of Chemo, you know, Superman trying to figure it all out. You know, a lot of the action you can see here was basically the Metal Men doing most of the action in the issue. They were the ones providing the action. Superman was providing, you know, the commentary for trying to understand what's going on. And again, I like that Superman used his head. You know, again, this is something you don't see in the comics today. You don't see a Superman who's thinking about what he's doing, who's trying to figure out how to best get a job done with minimal damage and to you know, preserve, you know, and protect the people. You don't see that. It's very much not like this now, and I really like this. And again, I like, you know, how they showed the different Metal Men's personalities. You see, like here with the scene with Mercury, not thinking ahead to how he's affecting the team, but just how it's affecting him. You know, again, you see it's like a team that isn't like very well cohesive yet. You know, it's not like, you know, when we see our super teams like the Justice League or the Avengers, the X-Men, you know, they're all fighting side by side and they're all backing each other up, and they all, you know, they know how to, if one guy goes down, the next one's there to take them on, to, you know, to pick up the slack. It's not like that with the Metal Men. They weren't done that way, and I liked that about the team, that they showed this sort of like dysfunction in the team. You know, they're a team. They do care about each other. They do want to help each other, but they don't always think things through. They're much more impulsive. You know, and that's where Superman came in here, being the non-impulsive one, sitting back, thinking things through, you know, using his microscopic vision here to try to figure stuff out and to figure out a plan of action, because he knew it wasn't going to come from the Metal Men. You know, because again, just like with Tin here, just way too impulsive. They didn't think it through. They just acted. And, you know, again, that's a very something you don't really see in the comics anymore. It's just the they don't know how to really present these characters in a way that's respectful and entertaining, and yet also true to what they are. You know, and like so a Superman would be a leadership type of character, and he sort of does take the lead with the Metal Men, and then, you know, it's his plan that ultimately brings down Chemo, and I like that. So I mean, very much, you know, a great issue. Not very expensive. You could probably go out and pick this book up for like $5-6 for a nice high grade copy. It wasn't a key issue of any kind. It wasn't something major, but I liked the little history lesson with Crisis. I liked the interaction with the Metal Men. I liked Superman's taking the lead as like sort of like the brains of the operation rather than the fists. And just, you know, it's just a well done issue that I think, you know, anybody could enjoy. You know, whether you're 6 or 60, you know, you could pick up Action Comics number 590 here and enjoy it. You know, this is the kind of fun you don't see anymore. I mean, this is just pure comics to me. This is what comics are meant to be. This would be fun like this. You know, fun with villains like Chemo. You know, and that's, you know, that's something I'm missing so much nowadays. Seeing great stuff like this, where you could just jump in an issue with characters who you may not even be familiar with, and yet it's still a great tale being told. So yeah, definitely check it out. Action Comics number 590 during the John Byrne run. You know, it's, again, like I said, it's not a key of any kind, but it's just a fun story. And they did get back on what happened to the Metal Men in the end there. You know, the mysteries they left behind, they do get resolved in the book later. Now, maybe that's a future why it's great. We'll have to wait and see, but they did get back to that. So it's like not like they did it and forgot about it the way sometimes they do today as well. They'll do something and then just forget about it. No, they did not forget about it. And so again, just it shows the kind of care and you know, respect that the people making the stuff had for the characters and the audience back then that they don't seem to have now. And again, this is why work like this is so good. Just a random issue, you know, nothing special about it overall, and yet it's still a great read and a great bit of entertainment. So definitely go and check it out. And if you haven't already, and like I said, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how much you can enjoy a book like this, because you know, that's really what it's all about, is finding great works that you can have fun with like this. And there you have it, Action Comics 590, another great one in the Byrne run, another great Superman tale. Again, with Superman being Superman. You know, this is the Superman I know. This is Superman I grew up reading, and you know, that's why you know, the one that we have today just doesn't seem to cut it, because you can't in the face of something like that. There's no way that the modern stuff can even hold a candle to it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I you know, and had some fun with it, because I know I sure did. Again, like I said, make sure to drop me some comments in there. What did you think of the issue? Do you think Chemo was a credible threat here? Do you like the Metal Men? What are your thoughts on those guys? You know, did you like Superman taking more of a leadership approach in this issue, or do you think he just came in, you know, fists a swinging? You know, what's your thoughts? I want to hear what you guys got to say. So you know, go ahead and check that out. And you know, again, I want to thank you all for joining me today. As for what's coming up, well, I do have some more stuff coming. I'll probably try to get another Why It's Great here in the next week or so, and then I've got another package I'm expecting. So we'll see if I have another What's in the Box for you after that. And then after that, well, we'll just have to see. But I am working on something big. And I don't want to spoil it just yet, but you will see it sometime next month. I'll give you that one. Sometime next month, I got this big thing I'm trying to work out. Because again, this will be probably the biggest thing I've ever done on this channel up to this point. So you definitely don't want to miss it. But I'll let you guys know more about it when I get a few more things finalized, a little more stuff situated, scheduling and stuff like that. And you know, I'll let you know more. But I am working on something big for you guys for September. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. So again, I thank you all for joining me today, and I will be back with more stuff soon. And until next time, take care.